Hello and welcome friends. Today we will be continuing with the same topic, that is thermal injury, and in that we will mostly be concentrating on burns that are dry burns. Generally we encounter in our setting that somebody has got burned or burn injury simply. So we will be concentrating on that. In that we have definition. Burns are injuries produced by application of dry heat such as flame, radiant heat, or some heated solid substance like metal or glass to the surface of the body. So generally we have a complete dry heat, and that heats the tissue, and that cause injury. Injury is caused by maybe friction that can also burn, or lightning, that is another source of dry burn. Electricity, that is another source. Ultraviolet or infrared rays that may mimic uh, completely dry burn, X-rays, and corrosive chemical substances. So we will be dealing with all such things in coming the lecture, and we will deal with corrosive and chemical substances in a separate lecture, and including that we have electricity, that will be electrical injuries, that will be dealt in separate lecture. So we will be having 2 or 3 more lectures on the burn. So let's have classification and its all aspects. Most than that cause burn are flame due to actual contact with the body, flames like candle flames, flames like the stove flames, or any flame which is wood fire flame, which is very much common in our places. Physical contact of the body with a hot object like utensils, like cylinders, like any other object that are hot. Radiant heat due to heat waves and X-rays and microwaves. Radiant waves that are present in the most of the radiations, especially in the nuclear areas, and whether the X-rays which are used for X-ray, they sometimes cause burn. Scalding, this is another burn which is due to liquid. Due to hot liquid. Hot liquid can be water, can be oil, can be milk, or food, liquid food, and any of the liquid metals also sometimes, but most of the time liquid metals are so hot that they generally present as a liquid metals are so hot that they generally present as a dry burn. Lightning and electricity burns, chemical burns. So we will be taking these topics. Classification of burn. Generally we classify according to the burn injury that is sustained. That can be first degree burn, second degree burn, and even sometimes third degree burn. So in that, the amount of the tissue, amount of the human tissue that is involved, especially the skin, epidermis, dermis, then the fats, then the muscles, then the bones. Then in this order, the degree of the burn is classified, and we have Dupuytren's classification, another is Wilson's classifications. So many classifications are there. The most common is Dupuytren's classification, that is first degree burn. First degree burn causes erythema or simple redness. Simple redness can be there, erythema can be there, very low application of the heat. Superficial inflammation can be there, there may be redness. Leaves no scar, there is no scar formation after healing. Disappears after death. This generally disappears after death, and generally we don't get any mark after death. Second degree, or that is called acute inflammation. Second degree burn, there is a more exposure to the heat, or the duration is there more there. So we can get acute inflammation. Then the blisters are like something, there is a fluid accumulation in the skin that is raised. So blisters are there, serum is accumulated in there, and sometimes air blisters can be found. Air may be accumulated. It depends upon the person is alive or person is dead. Skin may be blackened. Leaves no scar, slight staining may remain. So scar here also is in second degree is not formed, but the staining post healing stains may be found or some lines may be found, but scar is generally the huge scar which we found in which we find in burn is not here. Then we have third degree burn, then the destruction of the cuticle and part of the true skin. Part of the true skin and means dermis is also gone. Skin is charred and shriveled. Skin is totally charred, totally shrunken, very painful due to exposure of the nerve endings. Nerve endings which are present in the dermis, they are being exposed. So this condition, the third degree burn is very painful and patient is always in pain. We have to apply different types of uh, pain suppressant in the form of a local anesthetic or some other things, so that we can get decreased pain, but it is very painful condition and it takes a long time to heal. Leaves scar, but still there is a no contraction band is found. It means the scar is there, but the contraction band, which is because of the fibrous tissue that develops after the burn healing and that contracts. We will show, if you will possible, we will be showing the images of that. So contraction band will be found, and there may, due to that there may be deformity also. So that deformity is for laterly need corrections, but that deformity itself is a very crippling, and sometimes neck is being stuck with the chest. Sometimes knees if burned very in the third degree, then the knees third or fourth degree, then the knees are just flexed and the person is not able to extend arms. So at the elbow, person is not able to extend, not able to work. Now the different contractures can be shown in the coming days, and we will be seeing it how the contraction develops, contractures develop, and contraction develop, and how the deformities are there. So we will be dealing with dry heat, dry heat, further injuries, then dry heat death or sometime morbidities, and we will be calculating the disability also because of that. In the last 2 or 3 lectures we will be having morbidity or disability calculations, and we will be having the injury reports. So we will be having a lot of things very important coming up. Fourth degree, the whole skin is destroyed, not very painful, because in the whole, if whole skin is destroyed, then the nerve endings are also destroyed. So it is less painful. Leaves contraction and deformity. Here the main contraction band which are formed because of the fourth degree burn, and deformity means if a contraction develops here in the elbow, then the elbow is fixed like that. It will not move here, not here, because of this strong fibrous band which develops due post healing of the burn. So post healing of the burn is very, in case of fourth degree, is very debilitating, because sometimes if the neck is burned and in healing, then the contraction band develops and it fixes the neck like this, and person is not able to lift the neck or the chin. The various angular movements which are there makes the person disabled. So fifth degree penetration to deep fascia and muscles, great scarring and deformity. Again there is a great scarring and deformity if the person survives. Generally, if great penetration and longer duration and longer range, then the chances are that the person may not survive. So we have to keep that in mind also, that if the degrees are increasing, the chances of death is also increasing and chances of morbidity is also increasing. So we should be very much careful about in treatment, especially for those who are treating this patient. They should be very much aware that they have to treat the patient like that. The post the healing contracture should not develop. We have different techniques of banding or compression bands that keep the fiber elongated and doesn't allow to it to contract. That are the different scenario of plastic surgery and all that they do, but they do have treatment modules, and if they are not following it, the point why I wanted to emphasize here is, if they are not following it, then they sometimes they may be charged with the negligence, because if a morbidity that can be avoided, that should be avoided, and it now becomes a part of skill and care, which is one of the definitions of the negligence, that a person who is who lacks skill and care in delivering skill and care, then he or she may develop land up in the clause of negligence, and that is quite sometimes civil negligence also, sometimes criminal negligence also, depending upon that. 6 degree charring of whole limb including bones. So in this, the whole limb or the bones are being destroyed, especially in the high voltage burns. It's in very high voltage we have as far as the energy formula is there, that we will be coming. The energy formula is that energy or joule production formula is that it is proportional to square of the voltage. So if a voltage is very high, the chances of very high production of energy, even the temperature raises up to 4000 to 5000 degrees. In that cases, if somebody touches that wire or somebody comes in contact, then that part is so hot that it is charred to bone, and in very short duration of time, depending upon the time of exposure, and person may develop in very debilitating injuries, and we can show in future also how the electrical injuries can lead to very debilitating condition and can lead to even amputation also. And we will be showing you slides also, and even sometime if available, we will be showing you videos also. So we have very different scenarios. Another classification is Hebba's classification, that is epidermal first and second degree of departures. Dermoepidermal, that is 4th and 5th degree, and another is deep, that is 5th and 6th degree. These degrees of departures can be clubbed into 3 degrees, that is Hebba's classification, and it is sometimes handy to describe it, but a detailed description is always important. So depending upon the scenarios, now we have the rule to calculate the percentage of surface area burned. Body surface area burned. So we generally use short term for that, but I don't prefer short terms or short forms, because it may be confusing. So I always try to write in the full form, so that full form and readable, that is another option. Nowadays we are having very big problem that most of the time our doctors' languages are not being read. So we should be very much careful that our writing should be either readable, or we should give it in the printed form and get it signed and typed and printed form, now which is very much adapted nowadays. The rule of 9 for calculating the area burned, it does not apply to infant whose body's proportion are different from adult. So face is 9%, front and back of the front edge of the chest and the trunk is 18%, back is also 18%, arms are 9%, both the arms are 9% each, thighs are one is 18%, another is 18%, 1% is around perineum. So we have totally 100% as per the rule of 9. That 1% comes from perineal region in males and females both. So it is very easy to calculate in adults that it is a 9% rule, and it is for the burnt people that they have to classify in the infant and others. But as a forensic medicine, we generally calculate the percentage of burn. Basically, we are much more concerned with the but we are much more concerned with the, in case of a death person, how much percentage of the body is burned and how much the degree is the burn. We are generally more concerned with the degree of the burn and the amount of disability it will produce, because the percentage of burn is more important in case of treatment protocol, because that have a different protocols for different percentage of body burns and different protocol, different fluid therapy mechanism, Park's formula and all that. They have different scenario. But in case of forensic medicine, we calculate that the degrees, so that we can evaluate further, and or also the cause of death. We are much more concerned with that. Another factors contributing to intensity of burn is intensity of heat applied. It means it is whether it is 44 degree or 60 degree or 100 degree or 1000 degree or 10,000 degree. The more the temperature is, the less the duration is required to burn. So at 44 degree centigrade, it generally requires hours to develop burn, and 60 degree generally requires seconds or minutes for that, and depending upon that, duration and intensity is inversely proportional. The extent of total body surface area, the rule of 9, which I have already discussed, mark the fluid loss, and at 20 to 50%. Generally, we consider that anything above 30% burn, 30% surface area burn is considered to be a fatal. But sometime person survive also. It is a generalized formula, or it based on the uh, overall ratio. So site trunk is more dangerous than the extremities, genital organs and the lower organs are fatal. Trunk means the trunk is more dangerous than the extremity. If the extremity is some one hand is involved, another hand is involved, leg is involved, the chances are it is less fatal or dangerous. But if a trunk is involved, either anterior or posterior, or the inguinal lesions are involved, perineal lesions, it is more dangerous, because it is having almost 36% of the trunks are having almost 36% of the area, and it generally we are concerned with surfaces that much surface area is exposed and continuously exposed to the environment, and that continuously loses heat or loses body water or fluidity, so that can lead to shock and further disabilities. So we are much more concerned with the percentage in case of treatment, because that can lead to further evaporation, further cold and further hypothermia, and all that features can then develop. So if the surface area is more, then the chances that survival is also less. Age, children are more susceptible to burn, that is very common. Sex, female are more susceptible. We can say the female are more susceptible because the female work in the kitchen. Generally in India, they have loose clothing which can catch fire, especially the sari and all that catches fire very easily because it has more entry, and we are having silk clothes that catches fire easily. So, and female and one of the factor is also that female have in generally in our setup have more suicidal tendencies. Well, that is mainly through the fire. In our Indian scenario, that is we call it dowry death, which is very common. Female is being burned due to because of the dowry, or sometimes women catches fire, or sometimes women deliberately immolates because of the constant threat for the dowry. These are the various social variables that are goes against the female for catching the fire and burn due to burn. Another feature that is more common in female is that she is having more fat, and fat develops when fire reaches up to the fat, then fat starts acting as a fuel. So females develop more injuries as compared to male because of the more fat in them. That is another biological phenomena. So most of the environmental phenomena and one of the biological phenomena that leads the sex ratio differentiation in male and female, that we will see in the coming slides. Burn from dry heat. You can see the burn due to dry heat may be caused by high temperature applied to body surface by conduction. It means somebody is in contact with the fire. Radiation means some of the heat energy is transmitted through the air, that is radiation. And convection, that means air is rotating there. Air is rotating from hot to cold, hot to cold, hot to cold, then the person may get hot air injuries, that is through the convection. It happens when we sit around the uh, bonfires, when there is a chances that there is hot air is flowing from the chimney, all that, and then we get the burn injuries. Convection is a merely variant of conduction in this respect, as hot gas impinges on the surface. Hot gas comes in the comes in contact with the skin surface. Molecule transfer their high energy in the similar fashion as the direct contact. So, in case that there is a convection and conduction are similar because of they are transmitting their energy to the skin surface. Radiation is different thing because it transmits energy to the molecules or the atoms and agitates there and it's the orbits, so its energy is transmitted and heat is produced. So radiation has different mechanism, and convection and conduction have direct transfer of the energy. One of the second degree burn in the firehouse victim, pink coloration because of the carbon monoxide and hypostasis due to carbon monoxide poisoning, and the vertical pale pressure mark produced by clothing. Vertical pale pressure marks are being produced by clothing. So it is a case of, this is another, this is the pale pressure mark, that is because of the clothing, and these are the pink areas also because of the carbon monoxide poisoning, and there is a chances of hot air or the hot air injuries that can cause that injury. Radiation causes damage through the conversion of infrared frequency into thermal heat or absorption at the skin surface, sometimes infrared energy, sometimes agitations of the molecules, depending upon the physics involved in that type of radiation, where the time is extended beyond the needed for initial burning. The tissue may be charred, means the more time we give, the more intensity we give to the fire, then the more chances of burning is there. then the tissue can range from mild burn to charred burn, complete disappearance of the body. So, but the complete disappearance of the body is very rare. So, we should be very much cautious of for searching some of the evidences at the burnt site. There are hardly any evidence that there is a completely body has disappeared, but some part is remaining there. Either that part is being covered, especially with the cloth or the shoes, that can be saved. Depending upon the covered area and the exposed area, we can get the charred, carbonized, or completely destroyed as in cremation. Post-mortem cremation of the bodies, we generally try to cremate and try to turn each and every part of the body into ashes. In that cases, if it is accidental, then chances are something is remained. But if it is intentional cremation, then most of the time whole of the body is carbonized and turned into ashes. The severity of dry burn. Another is Wilson's classification that describes the severity of the burn. Erythema develops, leads to redness and swelling in the first degree. Blister may form either within the thickness of the epidermis or at the dermoepidermal junctions. Then again is the destruction of full thickness of skin, which may be total or incomplete. Full thickness can be total or incomplete if epidermal structures survive, such as the deeper parts of the hair follicle. Then the epithelialization may occur from the island within the burn areas. Then if a epidermal structure survives somehow in parchment areas, then they can further colonize in healing process, and the complete structure of the skin can be recovered after healing. If not, slow coverage with more probability of extensive scarring. Then here, if epidermal areas are not present, some of the epidermal areas are not present, then extensive scarring can be there, which can lead to further invasion of epidermis at the periphery, that can lead to further morbidity. Then there is a complete destruction of subcutaneous tissue such as fat, muscle, and even bone. The most serious grade of burning, though as mentioned elsewhere also, it may less dangerous to life than the larger area for superficial burn. This is more concerned about, which I was talking in the earlier points, that surface area burn is more related to fluid loss. So, the more surface area burn is there, the more fluid loss is there, more electrolyte imbalance is there, the chances of death is more there. Chances of death is because of the superimposed infections also, secondary infections also, then the person may die. But if it is a localized but deep, but we can amputate that part or we can heal that part, the person may survive. So, larger area is more dangerous than the smaller area, but which may be deep also.